I'm SHERI KUNZLI, and I'm the Marketing and Events Coordinator here at the Vernon Community Arts Centre. The Art Centre has been around for about 20 years now. This building that we're in actually happened to be an old high school, and they were about to tear it down, and thankfully a group of people came together to save the building so that the makers had a space to work. The Vernon Community Arts Centre is primarily an educational facility, so we teach classes in glass, clay, pottery, drawing, painting, printmaking, and when it comes to glass, there's stained glass, infused glass, and glass bead making. We do live model drawing, felting, and we offer classes for youth as young as 5, and there's no age limit, so it goes straight up from there. We offer classes for people who are first time ever picking up a paintbrush, to those who are established artists and they're already out there working in the field. The Vernon Community Arts Centre plays a significant role in community arts education. Arts is for everyone, and so the nice thing about this centre is that you don't have to go to art school. It's a welcoming place for anyone to come and to try something out, to explore, to experiment. Aside from the art that we actually do here, whether it be painting or drawing, an important part of what we do here is build community. So we're a place for people to gather, to network, to get ideas and inspiration from one another, to share. We have established artists and new artists working together to mentor one another. Some people have studios at home, but they still come here because they know that there's other people here that they can work alongside.
The Art Centre is my second home. I love it here. I love the people. It's community to me, and I have to say it probably saved my life. I took care of my mom for quite a few years at home. She had dementia, and I realized I needed to do something for myself other than just 24-hour care. And I decided to take some art lessons. I had always wanted to learn how to paint, so I took some art lessons. That got me through the first few years, and then I actually ended up, the stress of taking care of my mom, I ended up in the hospital with a heart attack. And when I came out, I saw a sign that said doodle class here at the Art Centre, and I thought, oh, that's just what I need. And I came here, and life has never been the same since. I started creating a whole new style of my own type of art, and I call it happy art, finding your zen. My art is very whimsical, very happy. I like to hide things in my artwork. Most of the time there's a ladybug in there somewhere, but maybe not in the winter ones. I scan my own work when it's finished. I make it into cards. I just finished a children's book and is ready to publish a second children's book. I am not an author, but I was always asked when I started doing this kind of art, I was always asked if I had considered a children's book, and I said, well, I love to create, but I'm not a writer, I am not. And last year, I teach here at this Art Centre once in a while. About 4 times a year I have classes, and I met a girl there. Her name is Lori Weiberg. It turned out she had published a children's book, and we got together, and now we create. I send her an image, and she in turn sends me a poem, and the poems are so delightful. I just can't believe the great connection we have. I am 74 years old, and I hope to be here for as long as I can. And we have people here who are in their 80s and sometimes 90s. I think it's just such a great place to unwind, to communicate. I can see me being here until I can't be here anymore. I actually love coming here. I love the people that work here. They'll do anything they can to make things easy for you. I love coming here for drop-in, which is what I'm here for today. And it's not that I can't do that work at home, but coming here is really important because here I get to connect with the people that work here and the people that come to drop in. Just to have a place to come to be with other artists, to discover the art that I do now, just brings me joy. And I truly believe, especially in these days and times, you need joy and happiness. And I have not been bored during this whole lockdown period because I love to create almost every day. Something new, something happy.
One of our most popular classes here at the Art Center is pottery. Anything to do with clay. We do not even need to advertise a class because the wait lists are huge. If we had the funding to have another clay studio, we could fill it tomorrow. So clay is definitely one of the most popular. I think people love playing with, they love using their hands. One of the first art forms that a lot of us actually get into is playing with dirt as kids. So when you think about playing in the sandbox or playing in the mud puddle, and there's something really therapeutic with getting your hands dirty and playing with the mud. And so people love the pottery classes. It's a great exercise to just lose yourself in.
My name is Karen Palmer. I am a pottery instructor here at the Vernon Art Center. I started pottery as a kind of like unexpected. I was creating these mirrors at the time, and I had a potter friend say to me, "Hey, can you make me a mirror and I'll give you this plate." And by the time I made the mirror for her, I was already taking lessons at the Kamloops Community Arts Center. And the year after that, I started helping out instructing. So yeah, I've been instructing for, gosh, 18 years, 19 years. I teach beginners throwing on the wheel, and that involves taking a lump of clay, right, and centering it on the wheel, and from there pulling up the walls and creating. Usually I teach my students to create cylinders because they're the hardest to make, and then I teach them from a cylinder you can create bowls and you can create vases and you can create pretty much anything from a cylinder. I think what I add as an instructor is confidence, and that it's not an impossible thing to do. Make sure that before you take it over there that you look at all your edges and that and clean them off with a damp sponge. Remembering that the bone dry is the most fragile state, so never ever pick up your plate when it's bone dry like that or like that. You'll break it off right away. Same with the bowl too. Most people come in and they say, I am not creative. I haven't got a creative, bug in me. And after, one class, I can see that they've already, let it out, and it starts to evolve on their own. So, and I take a great pride in seeing that myself because I know it's there. And the biggest thing I like to give my students is that, it's just a practice, practice, practice. You can do it. You just have to let go and enjoy and have fun with it. So now I think this is ready to attach, but it's looking a little thick up here and I don't need that full length. I think it's important to teach art to students is because they're actually teaching you. It's kind of a funny thing because you can give them the information, you can show them a skill, you can show them a technique and that, but really they're giving you back way more because it allows you to then take that information and apply it again to another student. There's so many different things that a student can do and find their little niche, right? And then if they actually start doing some exploration in that, they'll find that they can act, there's more interest there. They can see what other people are doing and, be inspired by that. What I've experienced in my own classes, a lot of the people are coming in and they have a similar story that I did pottery or art when I was in high school. And I haven't done it since, and I've wanted to do it, and I've, this is awesome that this facility, the Vernon Arts Center is here because this allows me to get back into what I was doing when I was a teenager. I think that the Vernon Community Arts Center is an essential part of this community because it allows people to come in and find a new art form, build on existing skills. They have a place to go where they can be creative, feel inspired. They can enjoy themselves. It takes off the pressure of the outside world as well. And they can be a part of this wonderful art world that, so many people are already in. And I think that without having this here, people would kind of go stir crazy because they need that place where they can go and be free and create. There's so many different mediums that happen here at this center, and we really need to keep that going, not only for the people that are already interested in it, but for the young people coming up. And they need a place that they can come to, as well as in the school system. A facility like this is crucial, I think, to that type of developments.
We have children's programs especially right now during COVID. So many parents didn't know what to do with their kids. They don't know how to teach their kids art, so they brought them here and they had safe, socially distanced classes.
So my name is Svetlana Shkuratova, and my role here at the Art Center is youth instructor. Okay, now quickly look at the other sheet of paper. Quickly look at the other sheet. What do you see?
I see a white piece of paper.
A circle. What color?
Blue has a white dot. I see a white piece of paper.
Okay.
I see a white, like a shiny yellow circle.
Shiny yellow. What kind of circle did you see?
Mine's blue with a white dot in the middle.
So I started teaching here with drawing classes. That was my first course that I taught here, and then I gradually went into watercolor painting, and then this year it's my first year of teaching acrylic painting. My interest in art started very early, when I was a child, I would say. I like to draw, always like to draw, to paint, to express myself, and to absorb art. And even going to galleries and just realizing that standing by a painting can give you chills, or can give you, you go through a range of emotions when you look at a painting. So that was a very big revelation for me when I was a young person. So at some point I realized that if I have a talent, I need to share it and I need to show it to people. So it's our responsibility to share our talents. It's important to teach children about art, I think, because it helps them in other areas in their life too. There is a research that says that when children exposed to art lessons twice a week, they perform better in other subjects like reading and math and writing. That's one thing, so it helps children succeed in other areas which schools maybe don't see that, because it's very brain, like very left hemisphere, very analytical, rational brain all the time. And art allows creative and imaginative and intuitive brain, hemisphere to turn on and to work together with other hemispheres. So to develop whole brain, that's the function and the role of art for me, and that's what I try to teach. Teaching a child to create, to be creative, or teaching creativity, it's a hard thing to do. First of all, I play different games with them, creative games. If they see a shape, they look at a shape, and I ask them to see what they see in this shape, and they and draw, like feel the shape and see. Someone sees a tree, someone sees a ghost, someone sees, so this is one, like playing lots of creativity games, helping them to understand that there are no mistakes in art and they can create whatever they want, and it's part of their creation. There is no perfection. Salvador Dali said, don't try to reach perfection. It doesn't exist. So that's why I try to teach the kids too, and my daughter, when she struggles with something and she says, oh, it just doesn't work, and I say, it's okay. There's no perfection. Me being a perfectionist, I learn with her too.
My name is Jacob Adkins. I am 11 years old. I like coming here for classes and painting. I'm working on stuff like paintings with watercolors and blending. I was 7 years old when my grandpa lived in Cherryville. He's an artist. I was helping him paint a landscape, so it was really fun, and that's when I started getting into art. When I'm working on landscape paintings, it makes me feel happy, and I have so much fun doing it. It reminds me of my grandpa. I like just like drawing and doing what I like to do most, and like all my creativity comes out. It always has inspired me, and it's just what makes me happy.
My name is Valerie Arthur. My connection to the Community Arts Centre is I moved here 3 years ago and immediately was looking for resources of things I like to do, and I've always loved art. So I was very happy to find all the opportunities here in their classes and their large facility. I came to one class that was on a Friday night. It was, I think, called Clay and Wine. So you could come in the evening for 3 hours and make something and have a glass of Cabernet. So that was a bit of a giggle, and it worked pretty good. It got people out relaxing and trying new projects. When you come here for a class, the teachers are very well trained and they're very patient. And everyone seems to be friendly and quite relaxed. It feels like a community center, not even differently than an art center, because it has that kind of atmosphere. I've been able to try some things that normally make me nervous. There's Patricia Doyle teaches a glass beading workshop, so you're working with torches and heat, and that was quite exciting, and just to watch the quality of the work that she does.
My name's Patricia Doyle. I am a big-time volunteer and booster at the Arts Centre. I've been teaching here for many years. I think the reason people call me the Vernon Community Arts Centre's #1 fan is I've been photographed doing everything. I've been shoveling snow, I've been digging out the exploding drains. At the Vernon Community Arts Centre, I teach lamp working. They call it lamp working because traditionally people used to use oil lamps to make glass beads. Now we use propane torches or propane and oxygen torches. It's way faster because time was kind of a different concept back then. I'm making a glass bead, and also I'm making something called a stringer. That's a blob of glass that's highly heated, and I pull it out so it's about like a piece of spaghetti. I hold it until it's cool, cut it off and lay it down, and I can later use that to decorate the surface of a bead. I also made a twisty, which is 2 layers of glass. If you imagine the end of one piece of glass is kind of like a toothbrush. The other one's like toothpaste. You heat the toothpaste soft, but you keep the toothbrush stiff. Heat it up, lay it down, and then heat it, rocking back and forth instead of turning. And as soon as everything is getting droopy, I come out of the flame, twist both my hands in opposite directions, and make sort of a candy cane sort of design that can also be used to decorate a bead. And then also I made a fish. A fish is the way I make a fish is a hollow bead, flattened, then an eye on each side, then a pupil on each side, then fins, then a mouth, and then pressing in to make the lips. I really like working with glass because it can be so many different things. It can be soft, it can be hard, it can be sharp, it can be gentle and smooth, it can be sensuous, it can be transparent or opaque. It's light, love, and magic. Glass is alchemy to me. I moved from the Yukon, and they had a very vibrant art society. When I moved here, I didn't see that here in Vernon, and I felt very alone and quite isolated. And it took me a few years to stumble into here in the arts community locally. But finding your tribe is such an important part of your sense of belonging. And the Art Center gave me that, so I kind of figure I owe them. The Art Center's changed in that a lot of what was going on here was make do and settle and compromise. And as people have made changes to the center, we've been able to develop really strong policies, make really good differences in the community. We have a program called Joining Hands that's specifically for people with different abilities that brings them out of their care homes or their situations and gives them the opportunity to make art twice a week.
We have people who this is their only connection to the outside world. So, for example, we have a Joining Hands program. Joining Hands is a program for people with living with disabilities. And so they will come here twice a week to do art.
I'm Colleen Payne. My connection with the Vernon Arts Centre has been since I relocated here from Saskatchewan, and I joined the centre to nourish myself in my creative being and be part of a community here in Vernon when I first moved. When I came here, I started volunteering in a program called Joining Hands, and it's for adults with disabilities. I'm a volunteer there. There's an artist who looks after all the projects that the participants are going to do. And the reason I wanted to join it is because the participants are so joyful, so happy to be out creating in a community, because sometimes they're quite isolated. I just see so much filling up their tanks, them feeling a sense of pride, feeling a sense of ownership of their art, learning something new and being with others and sharing that. So I decided to volunteer in that program because I've had experience working with that group before, and I just wanted to be involved with people who brought so much joy. So what initially drew me to art, I knew I needed something that took me out of myself. And so I started exploring different art mediums and different things that I could do. And I found that it did wash away some of the everyday struggles that I was experiencing. I've never called myself an artist because I don't do my art to sell. I don't feel like it's, up there with people who are artists. I've been in the helping profession for about 35 years now. And I have seen when people tap into their creative self, that they can lose themselves in the sense that they can lose all their everyday struggles and concerns. They can put that aside and really just lose themselves in their art, which is very healing. So over my career, when I started tapping into encouraging people to flourish and do stuff with their creative self, I saw so much healing. It was amazing how much people can heal from some of their hurts and struggles in life when they do art. I started a series of workshops right after the pandemic in healing through art. And the reason I started this is because I was hearing from so many people how isolated they felt, how depressed, lonely, anxious, fearful about the state of the world. And so I decided to incorporate some of the workshops that I've done through my career with art. So the first one I started was art, healing through art, and managing your anxiety. And so people came, and it was an opportunity to hear how other people were going through this time and that them not feeling so alone with it. So there's 4 series. We've only done 1 so far. And there is, the dealing with change, how to manage grief, anger management, because we all have had moments during this last number of months where we're quite angry about the state of the world. The Healing Through Art program has been effective because people don't feel so alone with their struggles. And when we can share a burden, it's a lighter burden. So to continue these workshops with people and have them share with others, just put a voice to what they're experiencing, because there's so many emotions right now. And then also to create something. Whenever we create something that hasn't been there before, it really helps us in our well-being and our sense of happiness.
The Vernon Community Arts Centre is operated by the Arts Council of the North Okanagan. The Arts Council is a non-profit charitable society, and so to run this centre, which is one of our mandates as the Arts Council, requires a lot of funding. So our funding comes from the Regional District of the North Okanagan and the British Columbia Arts Council, primarily. We wouldn't be here without the community getting on board. We just couldn't exist without their support. We look to community partners to help with even some aspects. We run a youth artist in residence program every year, and the Okanagan Artists of Canada, they've been awesome, and so they help fund that program as well. And they give the youth who are 16 to 18 years old several $100s in art supplies to make that happen. So again, there's a lot of partnership with the community to for these programs and services to run out of the center here.
My name is Sharon Isaacs, and I'm the president of the Okanagan Artists of Canada Society. That has been going on for 75 years. Our Okanagan Artists of Canada meet here once a month, usually the second Wednesday of the month. A lot of those members come here to see the gallery as well as to take classes. And they also have a drop-in class on Tuesdays. So we meet then at the drop-in class. We like to promote things here from our members. There's different things that happen in this art center, and a lot of our members try to join in whatever it is. We gave a scholarship to 2 young painters last year, and we'd like to contribute again. It's been quite a year for us to get organized and keep everything going at the same time. The Okanagan Artists of Canada would like to contribute to the younger people. We have a motto that artists helping artists, and we'd like the youth people to have the opportunity to become more involved with the Art Center. And we'd like to, when we give them money towards their art school or their supplies, which supplies are becoming unbelievably costly these days, we'd like to help them promote their art as well. Well, we are supposed to be having a new art gallery here in Vernon being built, and we look towards that future. But we still want this center here because this is where it's made. It's made here, and I hope that the Art Center will continue, because even if I wasn't the president, I would continue coming to the Art Center, to the meetings, to the drop-in classes as well. I've been here in Vernon 6 years now. The first thing I did was seek out where the artists are. And this is where it was, right here. And I loved it because I've met all kinds of artists. We get together, we're almost like a family. And we get together with even the potters and other people in the building. And it's really, really a great place to make friends. Well, a lot of things have been canceled here, yeah. But here this is our center. We like to meet here all the time.
My name is Jean Byron. I'm a member of the Arts Council of North Okanagan Board, and I've been an active participant and course taker here at the Vernon Community Arts Center. As a young person, I wanted to go to art college, but back in those days, that was sort of considered by many parents anyway to be a bit dead-end career. So I looked for a university that I could take art at, and I studied modern languages but slipped in a whole bunch of art courses. So as a mature student, I decided that I needed a little bit more education. I had taught for quite a few years, and law seemed to be the thing that was coming up as an interest area. So I went to law school and became a lawyer. But all through that time, I continued to dabble in my art. So it never really left me. I've been a member of the board of the Arts Council of North Okanagan. I think this is my 3rd year. The Arts Council is the governing body for a number of organizations in the community that are artsy and creative. I mean, it could be the Performing Arts Center, Powerhouse Theatre, and Vernon Community Arts Center. Those are all members of the Arts Council of North Okanagan. The Arts Center philosophy, I believe, is to offer as many different opportunities for people in the community to explore their creative urges or interests, to introduce people who have not yet tried certain things like maybe pottery or glassmaking, and to say, here we have courses from beginner to experienced people and excellent instructors, come and give it a try and introduce that creative part of your life and develop it. We also aim at trying to get children involved. I think what the philosophy is to offer the community as much opportunity to be involved in the arts as they possibly can want and need. The Arts Council is to have a similar philosophy, but it expands beyond just Vernon Arts Center to include all of the arts in the community. Whether it's music or performance or dance or 2D, 3D art is such an important part of our lives, and yet it is often put to one side when there's other things that need to be done. Careers have to be followed, children need to be raised, groceries need to be bought, laundry needs to be done, and spending time in artistic pursuits just gets put to one side. And yet, the arts bring richness and some calm and some excitement and some joy into people's lives that day-to-day activities just can't provide. The pandemic has been both a blessing, a gift and a curse. The curse I think we all are aware of. We've been shut down, people can't go places, there's limited class sizes, there's all kinds of challenges to offer programming of all kinds. The gift is, I think people have discovered how important the arts are in their lives, that having had it ripped away very abruptly and not be able to do anything about it for a while has really underscored how important that has been in their lives and how it fills such an significant heart place. You know, your heart and your soul just feel fed if you're able to explore your own creativity. For the Arts Council over the next 5 to 10 years, I think we want to solidify our role in the community as an advocate and a leader, an organization that can interact with government at all different levels and bring the opportunities to this community. I think long term, we want the Vernon Arts Center to be able to provide a meeting place for people who are interested in the arts, exploring the arts, both beginners and advanced artists of a variety of media, where people can sit down, share ideas, have a coffee, and engage in the dialogue that is really so important to the pursuit of art. Over the next year, the Arts Center is really challenged by trying to create that environment in a way that's safe. How do we do that? And that's almost a day-to-day challenge for us here. And I think we are accomplishing that, but it's going to be a continuing challenge for some time.
The Vernon Community Arts Center unfortunately had to close its doors when the pandemic first hit, which was significantly hard. One of the saddest things was seeing people that used to come here 5 days a week just to connect with other people, not be able to come back. And so during that time, we put out a 30-day art challenge to help keep people connected. So every day on social media, I sent out various challenges and clues to get people creating art at home, and sending it in to social media, Facebook, Instagram, even emailing me personally to keep them connected. We even put out a few kind of how-to videos so that people had, again, some exercises to do at home that allowed them to escape from the stresses that were going on during the pandemic.
My name is Teresa Heinrichs. I'm a member of the Arts Centre and a member of the Okanagan Artists of Canada who meet here as well. And I attend the drop-in every week and hang out with my friends and have lots of art fun. The Lake Country Art Walk Chair Project came about because Art Walk, which is a fabulous art show for a weekend in Lake Country, was canceled. Usually 7,000 people go through it, and it's fabulous. I've been in it so many times and loved it, and we all have. And so the committee, the Art Walk Committee, under the chair of Dr. SHERI McCoubrey, came up with the brilliant idea of painting chairs to uplift people's spirits in these difficult times and keep the spirit of Art Walk going. So they chose 45 artists from around the Okanagan, and they delivered a chair to each of us. And our only instruction was to choose an uplifting quote that Sharon would approve of, and the rest was up to us. So I chose I Find Comfort in Contemplating the Sunflowers by Vincent van Gogh, and I painted a huge sunflower chair and had such a blast with it. I painted it with pyrrole red, so it's very uplifting, very happy. And these chairs were delivered to all 15 communities, 3 in each community, and they're socially distanced, 6 feet apart, and people can sit in the chairs and take selfies of themselves and go around to the different communities and find them. And it's been very uplifting for the artists and very uplifting for the people in the communities. I find that people are just coming up and talking to all us artists about it and looking for the chairs and saying how uplifting they felt it was in a time when we're kind of lacking in color right now, and all these chairs are gorgeous and so colorful, and it's really been a shot in the arm for all of us, I think. Well, you know, the Vernon Art Centre has been just a great boon to me as an artist. I have felt very welcome and at home here, and I've loved the people here, and I love getting together with them. And to be quite honest, I don't paint as much here as I do kind of prepare for painting. I paint rather large paintings in my studio, and it's hard to cart them back and forth. But I do my planning and curate my images and things here and get people's opinion. It's the old, you can't create in a vacuum. You come here, it's full of life, it's full of inspiration, it's full of wonderful people, and you come away inspired, and you go back to your studio and you've had your shot in the arm for the week, and you paint for the whole week and come back again. So it's been a really happy part of my life, the Art Centre, and I think we're incredibly lucky to have it here in Vernon. I think that we've repurposed an old high school shop into a hugely important part of the community. So it's life at its best. It's recycling, repurposing, and serving a tremendous number of people in the community. I love it. I think right now, more than ever, people should maybe be finding their way to the Art Centre, because these are really difficult times. And I think that being able to be creative and be able to express yourself in a really positive way when you're limited by masks and your surroundings is really helpful for your mental health and your well-being. So I think the Art Centre is even more important than ever right now.
We have a really strong management team here and a really good staff that are looking forward to where we can be going, because things have been so uncertain during all these tumultuous times.
My name is Tina Siddiqui. I'm an instructor, art instructor. I teach what I call open classes, where the students have their own projects, so it's not structured, as well as I do structured classes too. I would say maybe like 30 plus years I've been educating, and I feel it's important because twofold. Not only do the students learn, I learn a lot from them. You know, the way they hold the brush, what ideas they have, so it's a lovely community. once we were in lockdown, all of us did feel that this center being closed, a big part of our lives was missing. And I would often joke with students, saying that, when I'm teaching lots of classes, I'm painting a lot more. And I zap up your energy and I go home and paint. And believe me, it wasn't a joke, because during lockdown, I just couldn't create. So it's a two-way. As far as the evolution, I find more and more people are wanting to do looser and quicker paintings, maybe because our lives have become complicated with so much of electronics. Yeah, I think it's becoming more colorful, moving away from the traditional, trying to experiment and explore. And I would say even the materials that are produced by the companies, they are coming up with loads of new supplies, and which compels us to explore and use them. It allows people to play with colors, and I think it sort of is pleasing to a certain part of their being. So the freedom of exploring, splashing paint. And what I do encourage in classes is we don't have to always use paintbrushes. Anything between, from a hardware store to a sophisticated art store, you can get all sorts of supplies. Kitchen spatulas, I love using the plastic kitchen spatulas. They give me a lot of freedom. And, so in the end, you don't want the painting to appear like a photograph. I mean, there's nothing wrong with realism. That's a great skill too. But to add something of the artist's inner being, it's got to be spontaneous. So less is more. This is something I keep telling students, less is more. And the other motto for my classes is, when in doubt, mess it out, and it's going to work out. So if anyone's stuck by getting, wanting to get something precise, just mess it. It works. So if a student is reluctant or hesitant in the beginning, as a lot of them are, so I will do a little bit of their project, whatever they're working, and show them, you can mix colors slightly different. You can apply the brush, stroke in a different way, hold the brush in a different way, not even use a brush, use a piece of cardboard or cut up a credit card. So these, little shortcuts can really help. So the Vernon Community Arts Center is a great hub for art activities, for creativity. And we've got tons of activities for all age groups. A lot of retired seniors are here, young school kids are here. We've got music going on here, painting, pottery, collage, mosaics, and a tremendous amount of, courses that are reaching out to so many people. I do see it going places. It should, because, in this humble-looking, so to speak, building, the amount of creativity and lovely work that comes out of it, one wouldn't imagine. In fact, some people have often said, so where is Vernon Community Arts Center? So I have to point out, Highway 97 and 25th. So I think it's going to go places, because there's so many people coming out of it and who are, moved on and have their own studios, but a lot of them started here, scattered not only just in Okanagan. The future for me, probably I'll just continue teaching and meeting new people and opening up doors for them, as well as for myself. As I said, I always learn from my students. They may apply a color differently, they may have a different approach, a different subject, so I'm learning too. I'll never stop being a student myself.
My name is Gabrielle Strong, and I teach acrylics painting here at the Vernon Community Arts Center. I've always had an interest in art. I was a very creative youth and child, as many creatives are, but I didn't take it very seriously. So all throughout my 20s, I did different things. And I worked on a ship for 5 years, actually, and traveled the world by sea, and I had a pretty big job on that ship. I looked after 500-600 crew. But when I came back on land, when I was 30, I kind of bounced between a series of different jobs and careers. I was in advertising and property management. I did a little bit of work in film, but nothing really stuck. So I decided to go back to school. And I started with just taking a continuing studies acrylics course at Emily Carr that anyone can sign up for. And I sort of knew in that first class that I wanted to go there full time. So it's kind of ironic, because that's exactly the sort of class I'm teaching now here for people. But I basically started working on my portfolio at that point, and by the next fall I was enrolled full time. And I did my fine arts degree and graduated about 5 years ago. But when I went to Emily Carr, I went in there as a painter. That was sort of my first love, and I started with acrylics. And I still paint now. I have a painting practice. I paint mostly with oils now, ironically, and I have a ceramic studio here in town as well. We will be adding a little bit of blue into the red and shifting it that way and aiming to get the 3 violets. So we've got a red violet, a violet, and a blue violet. Now the violets are the darkest values on the spectrum, and so as I mentioned, they're gonna almost look black, especially when you get to that sort of blue violet. Today's class I am teaching, it's a beginner's acrylics class, and this is the second class in a series of 6. So today's topic is color theory, so it's really the building blocks of painting. It's materials included, so they have sort of predetermined set of colors, and we're going to go through all of those and make a color wheel and combine the colors and make neutrals. I mean, most of us, I think, have some creative, you know, genius in us somewhere that needs to be expressed. So it can be, you know, good for, I think, mental health, or as a form of meditation, or just as a form of expression, really. You know, we all were creative when we were kids, and I think most of us go on with our lives, and, you know, our lives take us in other directions, and we forget about that. So I find with my class, it's usually a lot of people at the retirement age that finally have time to sort of take that class, because it's been, you know, eating away at them for years, or it's sort of been this little whisper that they've wanted to do for a long time, and they finally have the time. I think the Vernon Community Arts Center here is quite a treasure. I don't think they have many comparables in the nearby towns. So this is, you know, this is quite special, and there's such a variety of teachers and offerings and classes that are here. They have an excellent ceramic studio, and there's just a lot of talent too in the North Okanagan. So to, you know, have those resources for anybody in the community to take classes with those teachers is great. I mean, I think the Art Center could always grow. You know, I think that there's one thing I hear is there's never enough classes. I know my classes often have wait lists, and the manager is asking me usually to do more than I signed up for, just to kind of fill the need. So I think with more resources, they could probably offer more classes. If we had more space too, that could be great. You know, I don't think that there's ever too much art in a community.
My name is Pete CREAMORE, and I am currently serving as president of the Wood Carvers. The North Okanagan Carver Society began in 1983, and I think it was a common interest. There had been carving groups in the area before, and there was enough people in the Vernon area that wanted to start their own club. There are many facets to wood carving, many types of wood. We have a group of people here that, in my opinion, are true artists. They will make a bird look like a live bird. They will use whimsical ideas. It's almost endless on what you want to do. The first question I was asked when I walked in the door was, what would you like to do? And I was given a little project. And my interest grew, and lo and behold, my abilities grew as each time I took on a different project. I had no training whatsoever. The training that I've got has been here. I had no idea what tools to buy, what knives or gouges or whatever I should start with, but every time I come in here, someone gave me a different idea and give me an idea what tools to buy. We exchange so many different ideas. We exchange ideas on carving and techniques and tools, but it's very social. We have a lot of fun in this room. Things have been different this year with COVID, but there's normally an urn of coffee going. People take turns bringing baked goods in, so it's an afternoon that we can hone our skills, but at the same time, there's a lot of laughter in this room. And we have a show and tell every month. So it's just us, but we bring in our finished products, and we ooh and ah at one another's stuff. So it's a lot of fun. We have probably very close to the same number of lady carvers that are here. Some come from as far away as Lumbee every Tuesday. You know, when I think of the different backgrounds in this room and what people did in their working lives, I mean, we talk about that a lot on what we did, and we share experiences and what we did in the working world. So I think it's a healthy thing. And then I don't know about the other fellows, but I can go home and I can tell my wife stories that I heard on my afternoon of carving. The Vernon Arts Center is very, very important to us. They cooperate with everything that we ask of them. We have open houses, usually 2 or 3 a year. No, it's really important what the Vernon Arts Center does for us. They help us promote our club, and SHERI has been awesome at doing that.
Part of the mandate from the Arts Council of the North Okanagan is to support all artists on all levels. And one of the things that we can do here is allow people a venue, a space to show and sell their work. So our members are offered an opportunity to show their work in our gallery at the Vernon Community Arts Center, as well as the art shop. With the gallery space, something that's really unique is that members can be 5 years old, 10 years old, 80 years old. It can be someone's first painting or 100th sculpture, and they get to show it side by side. So that's something that's really unique here that you wouldn't see in, say, a public art gallery. Even for myself, for example, the first time I ever showed my work publicly was here. And it was that exhibit that gave me the confidence to continue pursuing my career in the arts. Quite often, artists are asked to donate their work. And we really try to look at opportunities to pay artists for the work and for what they're worth. And so it's really important to us, even when we do a fundraiser, we don't often ask the artists to donate everything. So even if we do a sale, we're taking a portion of it. The artist will often take home the majority of that money because it's our belief that they deserve that.
My name is Laurel Ferdine. I am a graphic designer originally. Always have been an artist along the way, but Bill's in the beginning was graphic design, 20 years, and now I'm a potter. I make a lot of pottery. It makes me super happy, but working artist, I guess, means part-time here working to teach, helping others learn. And selling the pottery that I make, right, as much as I can. So the challenges as a working artist, I think pottery is its own unique thing, right? Like a lot of people buy paintings, it's super obvious, you're gonna hang it on your wall, it makes you happy, it fills a spot. Where pottery often is more of like a functional art. So I think there's an education element in that too with customers. You can buy a mug at the dollar store for $1.25, or you can buy a mug from me for $40, right? So you really need to focus in on who your customer is and why they're buying your art, and that it is art, right? Like I took a lump of clay and made it into a mug, and then getting it out there. Some of it is just finding your local customers, and then there's the whole other element of trying to find your customer base online, which is, I find for me, it's a struggle. Since COVID began, all of the markets and the sales that I would have normally done have been canceled. So it was a couple weeks in the beginning. We were still hopeful that the ones through summer would run, and then as the weeks went on, everything was canceled. The outdoor markets were canceled, the garlic festivals were canceled, sales were canceled, even ones further into the fall have been canceled. So getting your work out where you would normally be out with the public, and through the summer I have 8 to 10 events I often attend, summer festivals, art fairs, all kinds of things where you get out and you bring your pottery every single time, set everything up. None of those happened. Once the markets and farmers markets and things opened up again, then I started attending those, and so that's been really lovely. The Vernon Arts Centre for me was one of my defining reasons for moving here, honestly. We moved here from Burnaby, where both of us had good full-time jobs, but I was already a potter then, even though I worked as a graphic designer. So I phoned around and poked around online to see what there was for pottery in the Vernon area, not knowing much about Vernon. I came across the Vernon Community Arts Centre. So I immediately phoned and said, can I start doing pottery there when I move? And they went, yeah, come on in. And so I've been potting here off and on for 12 years and teaching here for maybe the last 4 or 5. It's lovely.
The very first Art Salutely was at the Village Green Mall here in town. It was very successful. It was an experiment. Our first year in Art Salutely, we had maybe $12,000 in sales. And last year we had $76,000 in sales. So 20% of the proceeds of those sales go directly to the Art Center for all kinds of things that they need. My longer term goal, vision, dream for the Art Center is that we get a 3rd floor, that we can expand the range of our teaching, because we're primarily, our mandate is about teaching. It's not about drop-ins, and it's not about a lot of things that we offer here. We could do so much with more room, more funding, so many different more. I mean, I'd love to see a glass blowing studio here at some point. That'd be cool.
We're hoping to expand here one day. We would love to expand. Again, we could definitely use a second clay studio just to keep up with the popularity. Our space is limited. If we could expand this space, that would be our dream. So the Arts Council of the North Okanagan is working with a number of other community groups to create a cultural campus, a creative campus in Vernon, to include a maker space. So we might look at expanding or building a new space to be able to house all the makers that we have in Vernon. The Vernon Community Arts Center is not big enough to house everybody, so we would love to see this expand. We're also really looking forward to having a new cultural center built in Vernon. So the cultural center will house, there's 2 anchor tenants, one being the Greater Vernon Museum and Archives and the Vernon Public Art Gallery. It will also be a space for musicians, performers. It'll have community education spaces, community performance spaces. So this is something that we're currently doing some fundraising for, but we hope to see that, and we just purchased some land a little while ago, so it's on the move and it's happening, and so we're really excited about that project.